television. No more trades. No more ball hockey. No more Fed.
Good evening, Pretend Football Nation, and welcome to PSBN's Pretend Football Now. I am Syke Manders, and with me, as always, is Mal Paderos. Mal, we are all set. We are all set to go.
We have done it, my friends. We have made it to the end. It is time for the playoffs in the NJCFFL. Give yourself a round of applause if you have managed to make it into the final eight. The rest of you, what the hell happened?
Wow. We've got a lot to talk about there. Well, let's start with the obvious ones, right? The Choppas have won 3 of their last 4 games.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you put a little bit of effort into what you do.
It's true, but they won those when it doesn't even matter. You know, the stakes, they could not literally be any lower.
Yeah, absolutely. Abominable performance from Coach Menzie. But you know what? He wasn't the only one that had a bad year.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, the Cuda Wolves and the Roswell 51ers, they limped into the Fed season with 5-game losing streaks.
Oh boy,
5 losses in a row. That's gotta stink.
Yeah, that's one way to go into the great beyond, is just like drug into the gears of a merry-go-round. Like, it's just such a grim ending.
And the music's playing.
Oh, the children screaming, mothers hiding their kids' eyes. It's just
what a scene.
What a scene. Well, but we've got some more good news. Funky butt loving.
Right?
The Butt Boys and I, we are
the best boys.
Yes, the best boys. They managed to stay 1 win ahead of the Choppers for one last tango at the Blue Oyster.
Yeah. So they end up with identical records to end the season. But by virtue of, not being awful all the time, they were not the last place team, and that's that. We also had another, there was a lot of anticipation last week. And since we're not going to cover any specific games this week, we have to mention the Beavers falling flat on their face, failing to meet their high expectations. Normally, Coach Greg does a good job of magooing his roster and making things happen. But they magooed their flat-tailed asses out into the abyss.
Yeah, just really terrible. And if you look at the rest of the bad teams, the rest of the teams, they were bad. They were just not, bad enough to be roundly mocked.
Right. Bad enough to be mentioned, and certainly bad enough to not make the playoffs, but not the worst.
Yeah. Well, let us continue on, and we've got sponsorship for this one, so I'm excited. Well, I would like to welcome all of you viewers to Dr. Fung's Playoff Pagoda, brought to you by Dr. Fung's Ultra Thick Fed Syrup and Pancake and Waffle Topping, now containing significantly less, but not none, industrial-grade adhesive.
Nothing flavors a flat stack of hotcakes or absolutely crippling losses or humiliation quite like Dr. Fung's UTFS. Ultra Thick Syrup, not intended for those with swallowing problems or really any problem. Fed relief 100% guaranteed or Craig's money back.
With Dr. Fung in your medicine cabinet, you're you're sure to die while you're living it up.
Wow. Man, that Fung, he knows exactly what's going on.
That punches very, very high above its weight. So, let's take a look at the matchups that we have in the playoffs here. Right now, we'll cover the first seed, Drop and Loads.
Yeah, great team.
Versus the Cumberland Crew at number 8. These guys are division rivals in the $30 Bullet Magnet division. Number 2 and number 3 highest scoring teams.
Yeah, there should be a shootout. I think this game is going to be an absolute slobber knocker. They played twice during the regular season. Drop and Loads won both of those games. They were competitive, but I tell you what, I think that these teams really, Coach Cody has something to prove here. He kind of backdoored into the playoffs, coming off of a loss.
That's true.
Dare I say, he kind of magooed into it. And I would think that he's looking to get some redemption here.
Yeah.
He's a defending champion after all.
It is true. It is true. I love the Pickle Boys. As far as Drop and Loads goes, they finished the season extremely strongly. There's no doubt about that. But people forget they had a long stretch in the middle where the road was very, very rough.
Yeah, they won a lot of close games. But I tell you what, when you score a lot of points, that's a clear-cut way to win some pretend football matchups. And I'm really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be maybe the game of the week.
Yeah, I would hope so. With the potential for just a high-scoring matchup, we'll have to see exactly how that ends up.
Yeah, absolutely. And the number 2 seed in the draft is Nick Cage. By virtue of tiebreaker, he will play his Faja Daniel in the Cincinnati Heartbreak. Now, these division rivals in the Lethal Evil division, they've played each other a couple times this year. They are the number 7, and get this, the number 4 highest scoring teams. Coach Dan and the Cincinnati Heartbreak, the 4th highest scoring team. They're the higher scoring team in this matchup.
Yeah, most certainly. They have played each other during the regular season. Heartbreak is 2-0 up on Nick Cage. And one of those 2 games, absolute whooping. That was behind the woodshed, actually.
Yeah, well, and that's the way that it should be. Father just annihilating son as things kind of go to it. Now, Kylan is going to be definitely geared up for this game.
Sure.
I would think he's looking for some redemption. He ended up winning the division, but it's a tough hill to climb. The Heartbreak have one of the most daunting rosters in all of the NJCFFL.
He built piecemeal just over and over just to rain devastation on his enemies. And he's been doing that in style. But again, Coach Kylan, much like in many previous seasons, very gritty competitor.
Yeah, he's found his way into the playoffs. And I tell you what, being the number 2 seed, that's no laughing matter.
No.
I think that this game also may be quite contentious. But I wonder who former champion and coach Ramona is going to be rooting for in this one.
Maybe that'll be the tipping point. If she's in one corner versus another corner.
Yeah, right.
I mean, she is a coach of infinite wiliness.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an amazing game.
That's probably going to be a pretty good one. So we have the number 3 seed, South Sharpsville Gravy Legs versus the number 6 seed, Keys to Victory. These are, once again, division rivals in Charlie Wing Division. The number 4 and the number 7 highest scoring teams, sequentially there. This is going to be an interesting matchup, to say the least.
Yeah, I think so. The Keys to Victory have done an amazing job with their roster, dealing with a lot of injuries and making a lot of things happen.
Absolutely.
And to be frank, former commissioner Mikey Belt, he's done a really good job staying into it. There were points in the season where I thought that he was not going to be able to right the ship, but there he is, climbed right back to the top of the roster. He ends up winning his division, and now will play at home in Sharpsville against the Keys. And the Wacky Lock, they're not. They're a little upset about that.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine why nobody wants to go to Sharpsville, let alone South Sharpsville.
Yeah, absolutely. But they have won the 2 games that they played against the Keys, and both of those victories were strong wins. I think that he may have the Keys to Victory's number.
I'm actually going to split opinions here. Keys to Victory have been on this sort of stealth winning trajectory, and I think that maybe Coach Mike Cooter has put enough enough landmines in his own hold, so to speak, to maybe make sure that ship tips again. And if that happens, I think Keys walks away with it.
Yeah, this is a fascinating game. Again, these teams very high scoring.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have thought. I really wouldn't have thought that. Honestly, I thought the Keys were running away with it at one point.
Yeah.
The runaway favorite to win the division and maybe even the league. But some untimely losses, and now they're on the road. And we know that South Charlottesville is a very hostile and smelly place to play.
Yeah, very disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
And also our last game, number 4, number 5. This is the Lakehurst Dirigibles. They will play the number 5 team, the Pine Lake Park, that is Tombstones. These are geographical rivals.
Yeah, the Lakehurst McDonald's is going to be in sore state after this one, I think.
Yeah, I believe that's probably true. Now, this is the highest scoring team in the league, the Lakehurst Dirigibles, and the number 8 highest scoring team in the league. And that's a little bit surprising because, honestly, I thought the Dirigibles were awful this year.
They've had their heights. They've come up against some really strong competition.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Though sometimes you could be the highest scoring team in a game and still lose. You just played the better team. And perhaps this has happened to Coach Medeiros a couple of times.
Yeah, I think that might be the case. But hey, look, they get into the playoffs, and that's all that really matters. And they have to face a very tough Tombstone team, which also, Coach Scott, he's dealt with a lot of injuries on his own. His dead men have been dead.
Extra dead, if you will. Now, what's also interesting is these two teams have not played each other in the regular season.
Yeah. That's an interesting note. That happened a couple of times for a few different teams. This little asterisk placed that on the screen there for the commissioner to like get your ish together.
Yeah, I don't know what he's what he has, like a midlife crisis, decides to become a rock star all of a sudden. I mean, what's with that?
Yeah, I mean, it clearly can't make a schedule.
No, most certainly not.
I think this game is going to be another phenomenal matchup. And who knows? I mean, it really could ultimately come down to, just who doesn't end up with those bench blues, because it's going to be another close game.
If there is one thing that will sink your playoff dreams, it is the bench blues moaning and groaning, burning up the pine. That's going to be a concern for all the teams currently in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think? Who's your surprise winner in this round of the playoffs?
Well, I mean, looking at all the teams playing, I have said that the Beast has a pretty strong team. I would be very, very surprised if Nick Cage did not come out on top of that game. In fact, I think Nick Cage is going to go pretty far.
Wow, that's a pretty remarkable statement because that's exactly what I was thinking.
My God,
it's amazing. I think that Nick Cage, I think that Coach Kylan has had enough of the grandstanding of his dear old dad, and I think now is the time for son to overtake father.
Sometimes the drama writes itself, friends, and honestly, what better place to unfurl that drama but Dr. Fung's Playoff Pagoda?
It's a wonderful place.
Yes.
Did he bring any of that?
He did. There's actually free samples in the lunchroom right now. I'm gonna go get some.
All right.
Well, it's quite a lot.
Are you chewing something?
Yeah. It's Dr. Fung's ultra thick, the pancake. And free sample.
Oh, free sample.
Cool.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, that's. I don't know if I'd recommend that to anyone.
Very thick. Well, you have word of.
Yeah, my word of the week is choke. That's right, choke, ladies and gentlemen. It's what a few of these teams have done at the end of this season, and it's what my good friend here apparently is doing as we speak.
Well, I'm fine, but I don't prompt.
Prop of the week.
DVD. Memorable. All of you American farm. They're obsolete. Nobody's gonna care about you. Nobody's gonna
I mean, brilliant. I mean, nearly brought me to tears.
Well, Mullen here,
They all know you really don't care. There's just something missing and I don't think it's your hair. So make the time, cause when you do your time's up. When you get back, your people finally stand up. But it's not right, or it's not gonna happen. Why don't you try to get some latitude? Mr. Fortitude Stew, stepping on my fucking shoes. Now break with the muse, but roll if you can't rule it. Scream at the muse, I think that's all there is to it. Wait, that's it. Run downtime, cause you're downright full of it. Do us all a favor, buy a $30 bullet.
perfect. Perfect.
Unfucking real. We are such dorks, I swear.